The 2011 NASCAR season is considered by many to be the most dramatic season in the history of the sport. The first ever points tie for a championship, a 20-year-old winning the Daytona 500 in his second career start, the closest finish in Cup Series history at Talladega, a crew chief fired during the playoffs, who then engineered the greatest hot streak the sport has ever seen in a finale where a driver started 15th, dropped to dead last, passed 118 cars, and won a championship on a tiebreaker that had never been used before. We start this story at Daytona. The regular season, round 1, Daytona. The 2011 season announced itself immediately. NASCAR had introduced tandem drafting that year, where two cars would physically hook up bumper to bumper and run together at speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour. It created absolute chaos at Daytona. The race produced a record 74 lead changes among 22 different drivers and 16 caution flags. And then a 20-year-old kid won it. Trevor Bayne, one day after his birthday, driving the legendary Wood Brothers number 21 Ford and only his second career Cup start, held off Carl Edwards on a green-white checkered finish to produce the biggest upset in Daytona 500 history. He was so new to the sport, he needed directions to victory lane. The Wood Brothers hadn't won at Daytona since David Pearson in 1976. Bayne shattered Jeff Gordon's record as youngest Daytona 500 winner by 5 full years.
And Trevor Bayne is going to win the Daytona 500! Unbelievable! Happy birthday, Trevor Bayne, 20 years old!
The season was one race old, and it had already produced a moment for the history books. The regular season builds. As the regular season unfolded, Carl Edwards established himself as the driver to beat. He won at Las Vegas in round 3 and then just never stopped finishing near the front. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't making headlines, he was doing something far more dangerous. He was being relentlessly, punishingly consistent. Edwards would go on to lead the point standing for 21 weeks. By season's end, he'd rack up 19 top 5s and 26 top 10s across 36 races. That means he finished in the top 10 in nearly 3 out of every 4 races he entered. Meanwhile, the rest of the season was delivering chaos at every turn. Sebastian Vettel had just dominated F1 in 2011, but NASCAR in 2011 was the exact opposite. Nobody could get away with it. Jimmy Johnson, the 5-time defending champion, edged Clint Bowyer at Talladega by 0.02 of a second, tying the closest finish in Cup Series history. Kevin Harvick racked up 4 wins and kept snatching races from fan favorite Dale Earnhardt Jr., passing him with 4 laps to go at Martinsville. Kyle Busch dominated Bristol with his 5th consecutive victory at the Bullring, sweeping all 3 series races that weekend. Jeff Gordon snapped a 66-race winless streak at Phoenix and added 2 more victories, including an emotional win at Atlanta that pushed him past Darrell Waltrip and Bobby Allison for sole possession of 3rd on the all-time wins list. The Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte ran 603 miles and 402 laps, the longest race in NASCAR history, before Kevin Harvick capitalized on Dale Earnhardt Jr. running out of gas on the backstretch. At Indianapolis, Jeff Gordon had the dominant car all day, but pit strategy got Paul Menard out front for his first career victory at the Brickyard, one of the biggest upsets of the year. And the first-time winners just kept on coming. Reagan Smith won at Darlington, David Reagan won at Daytona in July, Marcus Ambrose took the flag at Watkins Glen, 5 first-time winners in a single season, several at the sport's most prestigious tracks. If you're enjoying this breakdown of the 2011 season, do me a favor and subscribe to this channel. Stewart, dead man walking. While all this was happening, Tony Stewart was having a nightmare. He went 26 races without a single win. His Stewart-Haas racing team struggled through the summer. Stewart himself seemed to write off the season, comparing his own team to the Bad News Bears. For context, Kevin Harvick had 4 wins. Kyle Busch had 4. Even Stewart's own teammate, Ryan Newman, had won before him. And then it got worse. Before the chase even started, Stewart and co-owner Gene Haas sat down with crew chief Darian Grubb and told him he was done. Fired. Effective end of season. This was a crew chief who had won a Daytona 500 with Jimmy Johnson. A crew chief who had been engineering Stewart's cars for 3 years, and they told him he wasn't good enough to come back. Grubb found out before the Charlotte race, right in the middle of the chase. He had every reason to phone it in, but he did the opposite. Stewart barely qualified for the playoffs, sneaking in as the last seed with 0 wins on the year. He was 12 points behind the leaders. Nobody gave him a chance. He publicly agreed with them. The chase. Race by race. Round 27, Chicagoland. The chase opener was delayed to Monday because of rain. Stewart held off Kevin Harvick on fuel strategy and won his first victory of the entire season. Race 27 of 36. Stewart jumped from dead last to the chase lead. Round 28, New Hampshire. Stewart passed Clint Bowyer with 2 laps to go after Bowyer ran out of fuel.
Fuel, here comes Stewart.
Yeah, there it is. He's out.
Stewart to the lead. 2 laps to go.
2 wins in 2 races after going winless for 26 straight. Stewart now had a 7-point lead over Kevin Harvick. Round 29, Dover. Kurt Busch took advantage of a restart and held off Jimmy Johnson. Stewart finished 25th. The momentum stalled. Round 30, Kansas. Johnson dominated and won on a green-white checkered. Stewart finished 15th. Edwards, running his quiet, steady game, extended his lead. This is the exact point where the team confirmed to Grubb he was out. 2 wins were not enough to undo 2 bad finishes. Round 31, Charlotte. Matt Kenseth passed Kyle Busch late and held on for the win. Edwards finished 11th, but extended his lead to 14 points. Stewart was fading. The decision to fire Grubb stood. And then something shifted. Round 32, Talladega. Clint Bowyer pushed off teammate Jeff Burton into the lead, then passed him on his final lap for the win. Neither were chase drivers. Edwards finished 11th. Stewart held steady. The gap was still manageable, but Edwards was in control. Round 33, Martinsville. This is where it all turned. Stewart passed Jimmy Johnson on the final restart with 3 laps to go. Win number 3. The gap to Edwards was down to 8 points. Afterward, Stewart looked directly into the camera and delivered a message to Carl Edwards. He'd better be worried. That's all I can say. Round 34, Texas. Stewart dominated and passed Jeff Burton with 5 laps to go. Edwards finished 2nd. Win number 4. The gap was now just 3 points. Stewart had won 4 of 9 chase races. Edwards had won 0. And making things even crazier, Kyle Busch was parked by NASCAR for the entire weekend after intentionally wrecking Ron Hornaday Jr. under caution in the Truck Series race. One of the championship contenders was literally banned from racing. Round 35, Phoenix. Stewart finished 3rd. Edwards finished 2nd. The gap held at 3 points. Casey Kane snapped an 81-race winless streak to take the victory. But nobody was watching for Kane. Everyone knew what was coming. 2 drivers, 3 points, 1 race left. Winner takes all. The mind games. The week before Homestead was not just about cars. It was psychological warfare. Stewart had spent the final weeks of the chase deliberately getting inside Edwards' head. In one interview, he told Edwards directly, "You can come visit my trophy in the room at Vegas when you get out there." In another, he dropped what would become the defining quote of the rivalry: "I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship." Edwards, known as one of the most composed drivers in NASCAR, refused to engage. Years later, on Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s podcast, Edwards admitted how close he came to breaking. "I wanted so bad to say things and to do things," Edwards said, "but I wanted to beat him my way." Round 36, Homestead, the finale. Edwards did everything right. He won the pole, started first, immediately took the lead, and claimed the bonus point. Stewart started 15th. 14 laps in, the first caution waved for rain. Stewart's crew discovered a hole in his car's grille from debris kicked up by Kurt Busch's blown engine. The repairs dropped Stewart to 40th. Dead last. That's where this story should end. But it didn't. Stewart tore through the field. Within minutes, he was back up to 23rd. Another caution, more repairs, restarted 32nd. Over the radio, his crew heard him say the 99 team should be embarrassed because he was coming from the back to beat them. Twice. A rain delay stopped the race for over an hour after 109 laps. During the break, ESPN caught Stewart walking pit road. He told them on camera, "We are fixing to keep delivering this whooping. We got more in mind for the rest of the day." Edwards retreated to his motorhome. 3 Roush Fenway engines had blown that day. Edwards sat eating popcorn, trying to hold his focus while the guy chasing him was broadcasting his intentions on national television. When the racing resumed, Stewart carved through the field with 3 wide and 4 wide passes that veterans called some of the most aggressive driving they had ever seen. Then Grubb made a gutsy call. He kept Stewart out on track until he was nearly out of fuel, gambling that a caution would come. And it did. Rain hit again moments after Stewart pitted, giving him breathing room under yellow. On the final restart, Stewart was 4th. Edwards was 6th. Stewart threw a 3-wide pass over Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, and AJ Allmendinger to reclaim the lead in a single corner. Edwards led 119 of 267 laps. He earned the bonus point for most laps led. He did everything the point system asked. Stewart took the lead from Brad Keselowski with 36 laps to go. Edwards charged to second. He closed the gap, but he couldn't get past. Stewart crossed the line 1.306 seconds ahead. He had passed 118 cars over the course of the race. Final standings: Tony Stewart, 2,403 points. Carl Edwards, 2,403 points. For the first time in NASCAR history, the championship ended in a dead tie. NASCAR had a tiebreaker rule, but nobody ever expected to use it. The first tiebreaker was total wins on the season. Stewart had 5, all in the chase. Edwards had 1. Back in March at Las Vegas. Championship, Tony Stewart. Edwards had more top 5s, more top 10s. He led the points for 21 weeks. He won the pole at the finale, he led the most laps at the finale, and none of it mattered. The tiebreaker said wins, and Stewart had 5 times as many. After the race, Stewart could barely process what had just happened. He radioed to his crew chief, "Darian Grubb, you are the man!" The same crew chief that his team had already fired. The aftermath. Edwards sat off to the side during the post-race press conference. His eyes were locked on the bank of televisions showing Stewart's celebration. He whispered, "If I could do it all over again, there's nothing I could have done differently. That's my maximal effort, and Tony beat us." Stewart became the first driver owner to win the championship since Alan Kulwicki in 1992. He was the only driver to win titles under the Winston Cup, the Nextel Cup, and Sprint Cup eras. He joined just 9 drivers in history with 3 or more championships. He did it with a crew chief he had already fired. And 8 days later, Stewart-Haas made it official. Darian Grubb was out. Steve Addington was in. The man who engineered one of the greatest playoff runs in any sport was gone before the trophy was cold. At the championship banquet in Las Vegas, Grubb gave his speech and received a standing ovation from the entire room. In a twist that only NASCAR could produce, Grubb went on to become Denny Hamlin's crew chief, and he won 5 races in their first season together, and then became crew chief for Carl Edwards at Joe Gibbs Racing in 2015. The man Stewart fired ended up working with the man Stewart beat. Edwards never won a championship. He came close again in 2016, losing to Jamie Johnson at Homestead in another heartbreaker. Weeks later, he retired at 36. No farewell tour, no final season, he just walked away. He later became an analyst for Amazon Prime Video's NASCAR coverage, but the 2011 season remained the defining chapter. The closest he ever got. The one that proved consistency alone isn't enough when someone else is willing to risk everything. Stewart transitioned into full-time team ownership after his own retirement in 2016. Stewart-Haas Racing won the 2014 championship with Kevin Harvick, but nothing the organization ever produced matched the raw, desperate, impossible run of those 10 weeks in 2011. No one was handed a point, no inch was given. Everyone fought tooth and nail for everything, despite the odds and despite the circumstances. Why 2011 matters. The 2011 season wasn't dramatic just because of one finish. It was 36 races of escalating improbability. A 20-year-old winning the Daytona 500 in his second start. 5 first-time winners at major tracks. The closest finish in Cup history at Talladega. A driver going from 0 wins and last in the chase standings to 5 wins and a championship. Crew chief being fired mid-playoff and responding by engineering the greatest hot streak in series history. A finale that ended in the first ever points tie. A tiebreaker nobody planned to use. NASCAR changed the championship format just a few years later, eventually moving to a winner-take-all elimination system. The format that produced the 2011 tie was gone. The sport decided it wanted drama by design, but the 2011 season proved that the most compelling drama is the kind that nobody plans for. Stewart was asked after the race if this would go down as one of the greatest championship battles in history. His response? If this doesn't, I don't know what will. It's been over a decade and nothing has come close. If you want more deep dives into the stories that shaped NASCAR, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an upload. And if this video made you feel something, drop a comment below telling me, do you think Edwards was robbed or did Stewart earn it? I'll see you in the next one.